Yesterday or the previous class, we started with parallel port communication using 8051 microcontroller, and we will quickly revise that before we move to the next topic. We saw 4 different types of parallel port operation in the previous class. The first one was pin write operation. In pin write operation, we have a microcontroller driving one particular pin as an output. This is pin write functionality. Examples of that include LED, buzzer, relays, etc. The second important port operation what we discussed was port write operation, where you have again a microcontroller, a peripheral device in which one complete port is used for writing data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The data flows from the microcontroller towards the peripheral device. So this is my microcontroller. This is my peripheral device. So one full port is used for writing data. The examples of this include LCD device, 7-segment displays, digital to analog converters, etc. The third type of operation, parallel port operation, was pin read operation, where a microcontroller is able to read information via a particular pin. The information flows towards the microcontroller. The device can be anything. Example, a switch, a push button, etc. In this case, one pin is used for reading a particular value from a peripheral device. And the last type of parallel port operation what we discussed was port read operation, where a microcontroller reads information from one complete port from a peripheral device. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The data flows towards the microcontroller in this direction. So one full port is used for reading data. So if you ask me, how do I deal in the programming part for these 4 different types of parallel port operation? For pins, we assign names by using S-bit variables. Say, for example, I assign LED here. Then I use LED is equal to a 1 for writing a 1, and LED equal to 0 for writing a 0 in that particular pin. For port write operation, we write values directly to the parallel port SFRs. Let us say I am using parallel port 2 here. So I can use statements like port 2 is equal to hexadecimal 32. Port 2 or port 1 is equal to hexadecimal FF, so on and so forth. So we use one full port for writing values here. As far as pin read is concerned, we are reading a particular value again from a particular pin. Say for example, I give a name called my switch. So you can read that value to a temporary variable. So temp is equal to my switch. So whatever the value that is available in my switch is read to a variable called temp. Temp has to be a single bit data type, because we are reading a single bit value from my switch. So this is pin read functionality. The fourth functionality is port read functionality, where I am reading value from one complete port. Let us say I have used port 2. For port read, the examples are, the best example that I can give is analog to digital converter, where I read an 8-bit value from one full port. You can also, connect any other peripheral device which supplies data to the parallel port, which includes parallel memories, so on and so forth. Now, in this case, how am I going to read data? My value is equal to port 2. The information that is available in parallel port 2 is directly assigned to my value. My value is a variable. So in this case, P2 assigns the value to my value. Temperature is equal to port 1. So port 1 information is fed to temperature. So these are the 4 possible ways in which we deal parallel port operations. One is pin write, the second one is port write, third one is pin read, and the fourth one is port read. So that is the one that we discussed in the previous class. And we also discussed the difference between sourcing versus syncing. Sourcing means the microcontroller sources the current, the necessary current for driving a load is supplied or sourced by the microcontroller. The current that is necessary for driving the load is sourced by the microcontroller. Syncing means it is the power supply which sources the current, and the current enters or sinks into the microcontroller. So that is the difference between sourcing and syncing. So if I take a common load, in this case I take a light emitting diode. If I drive the LED by sourcing technique, then I have to supply a logical 1 to turn the LED on, and I have to supply a Boolean 0 in order to turn the LED off. In syncing technique, on the other hand, supplying a 1 will turn the LED off, supplying a 0 will turn the LED on. So it is an inverse logic here. That is the first difference. The second difference is you need to very often current limit the load by a protective resistor. Why do we do that current limiting? Because a power supply is potentially capable of supplying infinite current that may damage my load. So I limit the current that is flowing through the circuit by putting a current limiting resistor, and you have to obviously calculate what is the value of resistor for this simple circuit. You know, V is equal to I into R. V is the power supply voltage, which is 5 volt. And the key value for this particular circuit is power supply voltage is equal to, this is the power supply voltage. The drop across this is I times R plus the voltage across the diode, VD. The current that you wanted to flow through the circuit, you can fix, say 10 milliamps. So 10 milliamps is the current that I want. R is the unknown resistor which I want. Plus what is the voltage across the diode. When the light emitting diode is fully on, it roughly takes 2 volts. So from where you calculate what is the value of R. So we limit the value of current flowing through the circuit whenever the microcontroller is syncing the current. So that part you have to take care of. This is the two difference between sourcing and syncing. So this is what we discussed in the previous class. As of now, all of you are with me. So far, any doubt you wanted to ask me, or you are clear with whatever we have discussed so far? Okay. Today I will right. Today I will take you to the next step, namely what is basically present inside the parallel port. So the topic of today's discussion is what is the architecture of parallel port, which means what is present inside each port. We have 4 parallel ports. All of you know that. We have parallel port 1, P1, and we have parallel port 3, P3, we have parallel port 0, P0, and we have parallel port 2. So far you have been using this particular parallel port for writing values and reading values, either by a particular pin or using an entire port. So you can you have used these parallel ports for various applications and various connecting various peripherals, and you have supplied the data to the peripheral device by connecting those peripheral device through the parallel port, either by using individual pins or by using one full port. You supplied or you received data from peripheral devices. So far you have been using them. But if you ask me what is actually present inside this parallel port, so if you put a zoom lens and see what is present inside this parallel port, what is actually what is inside this parallel port, then probably you will have a better understanding of using these parallel ports. Okay, so let us see what is the internal architecture of one parallel port. So when I say parallel port, there are 4 parallel ports. Architecture wise, I am classifying them into 2 categories: parallel port 1, parallel port 2, and parallel port 3 will form one class of architecture. Port 0 alone will have a different architecture. Let us see the difference between the two. To start with, let us take parallel port 1, P1. P1 has 8 pins. Port 1.0 to port 1.7. Now I wanted to understand very clearly the architecture of one single pin. Let us say I take port 1.0. Okay, so let us analyze what is there in port 1.0 and then we'll take it forward. So this is my microcontroller. So whatever I represented here in the green box is the microcontroller. Port 1.0 is a parallel port pin. Port 1.0, this is my pin. So in this pin I connect a load. Say for example I connect a light emitting diode. And then use that particular pin. Now let us understand what is inside this particular pin. What is inside this processor. Okay, so I want your attention here for some time. Okay, so you have a central processing unit, CPU, inside the processor. From the CPU, the data flows. There is a data bus that supplies the data to each pin separately. So this data comes to a D latch. A D latch has 2 inputs and 2 outputs. First one is the D input, the second one is a clock input. And you have Q output and Q bar output. Q bar and Q. Now, I am assigning a name called LED for this particular pin. So I am using an S-bit variable. So I write it in the top here. S-bit LED is assigned to port 1 cap 0. So I am giving a name LED to port 1.0 and I am using this statement. What is the statement? I am using LED equal to 1. LED equal to 1 is a write operation. So whenever you are performing a write operation, the CPU will make this line as a 1. This clock will become 1. And since you are writing a value 1 for this particular pin, the CPU supplies that particular value 1 in the D input. So LED equal to 1 means 1 is the value that you are trying to write. So the CPU puts that 1 to the D input. And since you are performing a write operation, you are writing a value to a particular pin, the CPU makes the clock input as 1. And you know how a D latch works. When the clock is equal to 1, the Q output takes whatever is available in the D output, which means this Q output will be a 1. Q bar output will be a complement of this. So Q bar will take a value of 0. Okay. Now, what is present inside this particular microcontroller's port pin is that the Q bar output is basically driving a MOSFET present inside your microcontroller. One end of the MOSFET is connected to ground. The other end of the MOSFET is connected to power supply through a pull-up resistor. This is called a pull-up resistor, which is present inside the microcontroller. What is actually coming out of the port pin to port 1.0 is the output of this particular point. So this is what is basically coming out as your output. Now let us understand how this basically works. When I put LED equal to 1, the microprocessor or the microcontroller understands that you are trying to write a value. So it immediately puts the clock input as a 1. And it also puts the value you are trying to write. In this case, I am trying to write a value of 1. So it is putting a value of 1. This 1 is passed to the Q output because the functionality of a D latch you are aware, as long as the clock input is a 1, Q output takes the value of the D input. Since the D input is a 1, Q output is also a 1. Q bar output will be a complement of Q output. So since this is a 1, this becomes a 0. You all know this FET device, when the gate terminal takes a voltage of 0, this is going to be in off state. When this is in off state, that means this terminal is this transistor becomes an open switch. This FET becomes an open switch, which means the output of this particular device is pulled up by this pull-up resistor, and hence you get an output of plus 5 volts or a Boolean 1. That is how I get a 1 at the output for LED is equal to 1. See the chain of operations. The CPU puts a 1 to the D input by making this clock input as 1. Q output becomes 1. Q bar output becomes 0. Q bar output becomes 0 means this transistor becomes off. And the transistor becomes off, the output is pulled up to a Boolean 1. That is how I get a 1 here. Now let us take a second scenario where I issue this statement, LED is equal to S0. Now again this is a write operation, so there is no change here. Clock input is again a 1. But in this case, since you are writing S0, the processor supplies a 0 to the D input, and Q output becomes 0, Q bar output becomes 1. When the gate input of this transistor becomes 1, this transistor turns on. When this transistor turns on, there is a short between this point and this point, which means what is the output? The output is pulled down to ground. Earlier it was pulled up, now it is pulled down. Now instead of a 1, you end up in getting a 0. Okay, so the value of 1 and 0 that you get across the parallel port is basically decided by whether the internal MOSFET is turned on or off. If the internal MOSFET is turned on, you end up in getting a 0. If the internal MOSFET is turned off, you end up in getting a 1. The internal MOSFET will be turned on and turned off depending upon the value that you supply from the CPU, which is in turn depends upon the program that you write and the instruction that you give the CPU. Now, this is the architecture of, or the anatomy of one particular pin. Okay, so this is for pin write operation. What is for pin read operation? Let us say I am using this statement. What is the statement? Temp equal to my pin, let us say. So my pin is a S-bit variable. In this case, I am assigning my pin to port 1.0. In this case, I wanted to read values and assign that value to a temporary variable, let us say. The same port 1.0 in this case is not connected to an output load. Rather, I am connecting an input load, let us say. I am connecting a switch here. So I am just this is not the connection now. Now I am connecting this particular input to a switch. Now I am configuring port 1.0 with a name called myPin, and I am assigning that to a variable called temp. Now I have to read this particular pin. Now what is the architecture? Now you have a buffer circuit like this. The input of this buffer circuit goes to the input of the pin. The output of this fellow is connected to the CPU. So what is the direction of data flow? The direction of data flow is from the port pin, the data enters the pin and it traverses via this line, provided if this particular pin is enabled. This enabled pin is called the read line. This read line is triggered by the statement that you issue here. So if you issue a temp is equal to myPin statement, then the microprocessor automatically understands that you are reading a value. So in that case, it will activate this particular line. So once this is enabled, then the data from this particular input traverses to the output and it comes here and then it reaches the CPU. So it traverses into the CPU. See the direction of data flow? From the pin, it enters inside, it takes this path, provided if this enable is activated, it goes to the output and it reaches the CPU like this. For this to be enabled, when this read line will be enabled, whenever you are reading a pin, say for example, my value is equal to my switch. This is a read operation. Whenever you are performing a read operation, the microcontroller will activate this line, this gate. This buffer is enabled. When this buffer is enabled, the input from the pin automatically goes to the CPU via this. Okay, so is this clear for all of you? Probably it may look confusing for you, so I will redo that once again. So I have a D latch with D input and a clock input, a Q output and a Q bar output. The CPU supplies the data to this D input. I am first talking about the outputs. From the Q bar output, you are basically driving a MOSFET. This is connected to ground. This is internal. All these things are present inside the microcontroller. So from this output, we take the output. This is my pin. The data flows this way. So whenever you are putting a write operation like LED equal to 1, what is the chain of events? The CPU puts a 1 and it enables, this is the write line. Write line is equal to 1. So you know how the D latch works. So the Q output is also a 1 because the D input is a 1. Q bar output is a 0. The transistor is off. The output is pulled up. So I end up in getting a 1 at the output. So I put LED equal to 1, I get 1 at the output. Next one, I put LED equal to 0. What is the situation here? Instead of a 1, the CPU supplies a 0. Still the write operation is valid. Q output in this case is a 0. Q bar output is a 1. Once the gate input is a 1, the transistor turns on. Now, once the transistor turns on, the output is pulled down. So I end up in getting a 0. This is with regard to the output operation. With regard to the input operation, you have a tri-state, this enable line is also known as the read line. This line will get activated whenever you are issuing a read command. What is the read command? In C, my value is equal to my switch. So when you are reading my switch is a pin to a temporary variable. In this case, you are reading. So whenever you are reading, this line will get activated. Now, how the data will flow? From the pin, it enters like this. From the output, it goes to the CPU like this. The data is like this. Okay, so this is how the data flows for the read operation or the input operation. There is one important concept that all of you should understand here. mm, this is not with regard to output. This is with respect to input, which means whenever you are reading a value, whenever you are actually reading a value from a microcontroller's port pin, the value that you are reading should be dictated by the external peripheral device that you connect. Say, for example, if I connect a switch here, the state of this particular pin or the value of this particular pin should be decided based on what is the state of this particular switch. If the switch is pressed, I should be getting a 0 as input. If the switch is released, I should be getting a 1 as the input. That is how I want. But according to this configuration, if you look into this configuration very carefully, this particular pin is permanently connected with the output of a MOSFET. Okay. Let us take a hypothetical situation. If this transistor is already on, because because this is a bidirectional port, the same port can be used for both input as well as output. Previously, I have turned this particular transistor on for some reasons. So when this transistor is on, which means this particular point is already shorted to ground. This is already connected to ground because this is on. Now what will happen whenever you are trying to read a value from the port pin, irrespective of no matter what is the status of this switch, irrespective of what are be the status of the input device that you connect, whenever you are reading some value from this particular point, this point will always give you a value of 0 because this transistor is already connected to ground, which means no matter what is the status of the the input device, whenever you are reading the value from the pin will always apply you a 0 because this transistor is already shorted to ground. So this particular value will be looped inside for you. Okay, so this particular problem will arise whenever you are trying to read a value from the port pin. So for that, it is necessary that you need to turn this fellow off. So how do you turn this fellow off? By supplying a 0 here. Q bar should be a 0 means Q should be a 1. Q should be a 1 means the actual input should be a 1. Which means whenever you are trying to read a value from a port pin, say for example, temp is equal to my switch. It's a read statement. Before you issue this statement, you have to put off this transistor. How do you put off this transistor? I have to supply a 0 to Q bar. Supplying a 0 to Q bar means supplying a 1 to Q. Supplying a 1 to Q means the D input has to be a 1. The D input has to be a 1 means the CPU has to write a value of 1. So prior to issuing a read statement, you have to issue a write statement for the same pin. In this case, the pin name is assigned as my switch. So my switch is equal to a 1. So you issue a write statement, followed by the write statement, you issue the read statement. That is the proper value of reading. So far, we have not been dealing that properly, or we have discarded this particular factor because we assume that the transistor is internally taken care of. But that is not the proper way of reading a pin. If you want to really read a particular pin in 8051 microcontroller, it is essential that you need to turn the internal transistor off. This transistor should be turned off. How do I turn the transistor off? By supplying the Q bar with a value of 0. Then Q has to be a 1. Then the data from the CPU has to be a 1. That's what I'm doing here. So before you read a pin, write that particular pin with a 1. That is the moral of the story. So I would So what is very important here, before you read a pin, write a 1 to it. And then you read. Writing a 1 is used for what? To turn off the internal MOSFET. Okay, so this is very much essential. Be it is pin read or port write. Both rule is applicable. For pin read, you will write this. My pin is equal to a 1, then temp is equal to my pin. I first write a value 1 to the my pin and then read the my pin to a temporary variable. This is with regard for pin. For port, say for example, I want to read parallel port 2. First write port 2 with hexadecimal FF, which means I am writing a 1 to all pins. And then read the value of port. Writing a 1 to all pins will turn off 8 MOSFETs inside. One thing that you have to be very clear is whatever we have discussed is only for one pin. Okay, so I have just discussed only for port 1.0 here. So if port 1.0 has one MOSFET, one D latch inside, port 1 has 8 such pins, which means there are 8 latches and 8 MOSFETs inside. All the 8 have to be turned off. So this important concept that so far, whenever you are reading a port pin or a port completely, you have not taken this into consideration. But this is something that you have to do if you want to read a parallel port in a proper manner. This is for port 1 and port 2 and port 3, all the 3 parallel ports. Parallel port 0 is different from all the 3. How it is different? It is different in this way. For port 1, you have CPU. This is the D input. This is the clock input. This is Q. This is Q bar. Q bar is connected to a MOSFET. This is internally grounded. You have an internal pull-up. This is going to the port pin. So this is what your architecture of let us say this is port 1.0. For port 1.1, you have another MOSFET. 1.2, another MOSFET. So you will have 8 such MOSFETs inside for one full port. I am talking for only one port. This is for port 1. How port 0 is different from this? Port 0 will not have this internal pull-up, which means what? You have a D input, a Q output, and a Q bar output. The Q bar output is internally connected to a MOSFET. The MOSFET output is directly connected to the port pin. There is no internal pull-up available. This is for port 0. It's not port 1.0, port 0.0, let us say. I'm talking about for parallel port 0. Parallel port 1, parallel port 2, and parallel port 3. All of them have these internal pull-ups. For parallel port 0 alone, there is no internal pull-up present. That means you have the gate, you have the source connected to ground. This drain is directly taken to the output. This is called open drain output. That is the difference. Now, in what way it will affect you while using parallel port 0? Let us say I am using one LED here. Okay. So in port 0.0, I connected a LED. So I am using this statement LED equal to 1. When I put LED equal to 1, the CPU supplies a 1 here. This clock input becomes a 1 because that is a right signal. So Q output takes a 1. Q bar output takes a 0. This transistor becomes off. When the transistor becomes off, this switch becomes an open switch. Now, if you ask me what is the logical level of this particular line, previously if this transistor becomes off, there is an open here, but the output is defined by the pull-up resistor. The pull-up resistor will connect this line to power supply, and hence you had a logical 1 at the output. Now, if this transistor is off, since there is no pull-up resistor inside, this particular output line simply floats. What do you mean by floating? It is neither 1 nor a 0. It simply floats at high impedance state. Okay. So that is the reason why in parallel port 0, if you connect a load, if you write a statement like LED is equal to 1, the LED will not actually go to 1. It will simply float. Probably you can just check it in a Proteus platform. C51. So here you have the parallel port. Are you able to see the Proteus window, all of you? Are you able to see the Proteus window? Okay. Now, I take a small LED here. I connect this port to 0. And this point I connect it to ground. Okay, so I write a small code here. Project, new microvision project. Atmel 89C51. Save this with a .c extension, main.c. So hash include register 51.h void main. LED is a 1, delay So the moment I use LED equal to 1, define what is LED. So LED is defined as S bit. S bit LED is assigned to port 0, bit 0, let us say. And then I put LED equal to 0. And again I call it LED. This I do this indefinitely. Define what is delay. We use a do nothing for loop. And write a software delay. Okay, so just add this fellow here. And then you compile this. And create hex file for this. So if you see, this fellow is actually toggling between, see the color of this particular blink. If you are not able to see this, I'll increase the delay. So this is a blue. Blue is basically a 0. 1 is basically a red, but in this case it is not toggling to 1. Neither it is turning on. Okay. So what I do here, I'll just disconnect this line and connect this to port 2.0 here and see what is the effect of this. See the change in color. Red is a 1, logical 1. Blue is a logical 0. So whenever it changes to 1, the LED turns on. Whenever it is changing to blue, it is already connected to blue. Blue means it is connected to 0 already. So whenever this becomes a red, the LED glows. Whenever this particular terminal becomes a blue, which is a 0, the LED goes off. Why that is happening to parallel port 2? That is happening to parallel port 2 because in parallel port 2, whenever you are writing a 0, whenever you are writing a 1, sorry, this internal transistor, whenever you are writing a 1, this becomes a 1, this becomes a 0, the transistor is off. The internal pull-up resistor pulls the output to Boolean 1. That is why you are getting a 1 here. But since there is no internal pull-up present in the port 0, whenever this transistor is turned off, this pin simply floats. It is neither a 1 nor a 0. It is floating at high impedance state. That is why you are getting that cement color. I'll connect this fellow now to 0.0 and change this to 0. See, this is a 0. 0 is working perfectly all right, but 1 is not working. Why 0 is working? For 0, this works perfectly. Tell me what will happen for 0. For 0, what will I do? I will put LED is equal to, what is the statement that I would be using? I would be putting LED is equal to 0. The moment I put LED is equal to 0, CPU substitute as 0, Q output becomes a 0, Q bar becomes a 1. When Q bar becomes a 1, the transistor turns on. When the transistor turns on, this particular fellow is connected to ground. So this particular logic is defined to logic 0. So 0 is happening perfectly all right. But 1 is not happening because there is no internal pull-up. That is why you are seeing a 0 perfectly here. Blue is happening perfectly, but 1 is not happening. So how do I force that 1 to happen? I have to connect an external pull-up. That is the only way. The only way in which I can make this fellow to work is I need to connect a external pull-up resistor. So I take a pull-up resistor and connect external to this device. This is called external pull-up. This external pull-up resistor, we have to connect only for port 0. All these 3 ports are having internal pull-ups. So now let us see, how do we connect the pull-up resistor here? So I take a resistor, one end of the resistor I connect it to the pin, the other end of the resistor I connect it to the power supply. Okay. Now, in practical scenarios, it is not possible for us to basically, you just tie this output voltage to +5. In actual situation, you will have an output voltage of 5 volt available to the logical output. In practical scenarios, if you want all the 8 outputs, you cannot practically connect them with 8 resistors like this. For this, we have pull-up resistor packs available. You can connect them as a small component. So you're able to see this one. So you have you'll be having 9 pins here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the one which is dotted terminal is the power line. So you connect this one to power, and the rest of the 8 lines you directly connect it to the power supply. Sorry, the port pins. You will end up in getting a 8 resistors connected to each one of them. So that is what we needed to do if you are planning to use parallel port 0. Okay, so that is the difference between parallel port 0 and the rest of the ports. For the rest of the ports, so the thing is, I just put them in a nutshell. For parallel port 1, 2, and 3, if you are connecting a load, you can have a naked connection like this. This is called a naked load. For parallel port 0, such a naked load is not permissible. You need to have a pull-up here, external pull-up. This external pull-up is needed only for port 0, not for 1, 2, 3.